Stephen K. Bannon here. We're at the historic Breitbart Embassy, the War Room, where they do War Room Pandemic, which is heard across the John Fredericks Radio Network 10 to noon, Monday through Saturday. It's the hottest show in America. I know everybody tunes it in. His ratings go through the roof with us. He's also on America Voice News, The Dish, Channel 219. Steve Bannon is. He's also on Newsmax, 11 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday. Also, Stephen K. Bannon hosting an election night show with us that's going to China. They're piping it through the wall, the fire wall. We'll be on the air at 5 p.m. From the rooftop, looking over the beautiful nation's capital, 5 p.m. until whenever it ends. And Steve Bannon will be there too, helping us with inside analysis. But this 3 hours dedicated to you, our listeners, and Stephen K. Bannon. Phone lines are open. You take as many calls as we can between now and 6 p.m. Don't be shy. Give us a call. You can also text me. Call-in number, 888-480-JOHN, 888-480-5646, 888-480-5646. So we're preempting Michael Savage right now. This is your opportunity to ask Steve anything. Election. Who's going to win? What he thinks. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, any Biden. Anything about China. He's here for you, dedicating 3 hours of his time. And we are good to go. And you're on the John Fredericks Radio Network.
Can we talk about the? Can we talk about the? You got to know, if you're in the war room, you got to fight for the mic here.
That's
right?
what. Well, yeah.
I know you're used to having it easy. Denny and Richmond, you're like the king of this thing.
I know.
Right now, you're like the king, and you get these guests on there.
Now I got Jack Maxey.
You got Jack, but Jack's battle scarred. You got to get in and get on. The most dangerous area in the war room is between Steve Bannon and an open mic. Okay,
let's get right to the call line,
okay,
Steve.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get Mike from New York City. Mike, you're live. Mike, you're live. All right, no, Mike. Let's get.
I wanted Mike. I want to start with New York City, NYC.
Kevin from New York City. Kevin, you're live. Well, Kara, we're not getting audio. Kevin, you there?
You got Mike from New York.
Okay, Mike. All right, we got to figure it out now. Mike from New York City, you're on with John Fredericks, Steve Bannon, and Jack Maxey. You're live.
Oh man, John Fredericks, love you. Bannon, part of the War Room posse, and Maxey, you're the conscience of the War Room.
Thank you, brother.
Conscience of the War Room.
I want to introduce Jack Maxey's agent, Mike from New York City.
Let me tell you something. I walk with my chin up and my chest out, Bannon. I ain't no New York sheep. I listen to you every day. And guess what? I'm a screenwriter. I'm an actor, and I'm a Trump supporter.
Wow, how cool is that?
I live right by the.
Mike? Why are you? You're in the artistic. You're in the creative arts. You're in New York City, the capital of independent film in this world, the capital of independent theater, obviously Broadway. But why are you a Trump supporter?
Because I have free will to do whatever I want creatively, and what Trump does is he hones in on people's independence and their free way of thinking. And as an artist, that's a very exciting thing. Also, no filter. I don't mean to be too esoteric here, but
you're an artist. That's okay. You can be esoteric.
He doesn't scare me. I find him to be, like Bannon says, an imperfect instrument who's unbelievably enlightening. You know what I mean? Plus, I love sticking it to all the artists with their nose up in the air. I saw John Milius' daughter's documentary. It was unbelievable.
She's amazing.
It was unbelievable.
She's a real filmmaker. She's a real filmmaker, like her dad. Let me ask you one more question. Do you feel? Can you openly talk to other creative artists about why you're drawn to Trump's politics and to Trumpism? Or I know we have James Wood, and we have some amazing people that speak for the artistic community that are Trump supporters, and there are a lot more, I know this, that are behind-the-scenes Trump supporters but are afraid to come forward. Can you come forward in your professional life, or will that kill the potential gigs that you get?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no, you can't. But I like to draw that line in the sand that says, all right, if Paramount Pictures doesn't want to buy my screenplay because they are more concerned with the CCP, well, I'll just sell my screenplay to Coppola at American Zoetrope because I know that he's more open-minded, about things. So I don't mind drawing the line and saying, listen, I ran to Alec Baldwin in the spring to say hello to him, to say what's up. He had his window closed in his car. He was yelling at me through his window saying, why aren't you wearing gloves and a mask? And I just wanted to tell him, hey, I'm trying to get into the actor studio. Do you have any advice for me? It was like I was like an alien. And that's a true story. That's a true story.
So great.
I listen to you every day, and Steve Bannon and Maxine Raheem, and I love you guys. And to me,
we love you too.
In 2016 or 2017, no, a couple years ago, Quentin Tarantino won the Golden Globe for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He said out loud, I want to thank John Milius. He's always been my biggest fan.
Yep.
Crickets, as Steve Bannon would say, crickets.
Yep. That was
I
amazing.
love Steve Bannon. He said crickets from the audience. You know why? Because everyone in the audience is looking into the left and looking to the right. And they're saying to themselves,
boy, this is a great
NRA concern. So Mike from New York is not afraid to say, this
Mike,
is who I stand for.
Mike,
this is who I stand for.
You're an American. I'm telling you, you're an American hero and a patriot. People don't realize the pressure and the creative thing. Give me your question because we got a board full of people. But I want to say something. We're so appreciative you listen to us every day, and you talk to about it. This is fantastic. Hit us with a question. Give us a tough one.
Oh boy!
Did we stump the band? Here we got an actor, typical actor. You take away the script. Take away the script. Hey, you are a screenwriter actor. Not that I've ever said actors are just furniture.
Hey, Mike.
But hey, Mike.
Let me give you an answer to the question I think you've been trying to make and say here.
Oh, that was a great segue.
The idea that you said that you're not going to change yourself in order to sell yourself, right? You're going to take Mike the way Mike is. Wow. You know why? Because Mike, at the end of the day, it's not selling that script. It's not getting that Oscar. It's being Mike, an American with a soul.
All right, Mike from New York.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike.
By
Mike.
By the way, Jack Maxey is the conscience of the war room. Good God.
He is the conscience because he didn't want a lockdown.
Crush it, brother.
That's all I know is he didn't want a lockdown.
Mike, we love you, brother. Keep listening.
All right, let's get to line one.
Take care.
John, thank you, Mike. John in Little Rock, Arkansas. John, you're live.
Hello?
Go ahead, John, you're live.
All right, I got to turn my radio up. Okay. I have been going through hell trying to reach you guys because I'm worried about the fate of the world. I see that Joe Biden's been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump said it to the press the other day. He said it once. Joe Biden is fully compromised. And then yesterday, at 39 minutes in that Periscope video, he tweeted. He issued another warning. He said, friend or foe. And, just please tell me that Donald Trump can play that Hunter audio from the Oval Office and take care of this mess with the 14th Amendment.
John, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. I appreciate you listening out in Little Rock. Let's go to that for a second. I don't think the president ought to get as involved at this stage with the Biden crime syndicate family and the Biden's obviously evidence coming out. And let me tell you why. I think we do need a forcing function to get this, force it into the mainstream media. Remember what Rudy said today. Rudy's on the show, said the polling shows 52% of the American people think it's a Russian fake, but 48% believe it, think it's legit. I said, hey, I'll take that in 2 weeks.
Because of the fake news.
Fake news and the suppression of the tech oligarchs. So here's what I think, John, in Little Rock. I think what the president should do is one step removed. What he needs to do, and I think he needs to do it today. In fact, I would cancel the flight to Rochester and do this. I would call Chris Wray, and Bill Barr. I'd come over to the Oval for a Diet Coke, right? I'd sit them in there, and I'd have 10 questions on my index card that kind of, I think, gets the concerns of John from Little Rock, which is the compromised. Mm-hmm. I'd start asking Ray the questions about, you've had this for a year, right? And I don't want to hear about the money laundering investigation that you're doing, right? Because that's a misdirection play. Right there, you got money laundered, J.P. Morgan Bank and Hunter, but that's not the heart of it. That's not about the compromise of the Chinese Communist Party. And I'd give Ray the ability to answer 10 questions. Now, I would think the president should fire him after that, but hang on. I understand the advisors are telling him to do it on the evening of the 3rd, but the forcing function, so John, he wouldn't have to play the audio itself, and he wouldn't have to tweet it out. The forcing function of having Chris Wray come to the Oval Office and Bill Barr come to the Oval Office and have to answer questions about this, the media would be in a feeding frenzy. Number one, it would get COVID off the front page. CNN wouldn't have COVID on 24/7 or MSNBC. You'd have Chris Wray. Is he going to get fired? He's not going to forget. And then everybody in the world would have to confront the Jack Maxey evidence. So thanks. It's a great call. John, you also sound a little down the dumps. Don't. We're going to win this. We're going to win this. And when I say win this, I mean the issue that you're concerned about, the compromise of the Chinese Communist Party buying the elites, elite capture, has now been exposed. It's not going to go away. The Biden's going to get a special prosecutor, I think, on this thing at least, right, and maybe much more. So this, and by the way, it's going to bring up this issue of elite capture. So everybody, Jack Maxey's hitting every hour on the hour with a new set of evidence that, quite frankly, Jack, who's a deal guy, a finance guy, sitting there going, I can't believe we just ought to walk over to the SEC and drop it at Jay Clayton's, desk and see what happens. It's out. But John, great call, but we think that he ought to do it one step removed and let the Don Juniors and let the John Fredericks and let the Dave Bosse's, Corey Lewandowski, Steve Bannon's. And you should know, we're up on Drudge. They're saying the last days of Giuliani and Bannon. Mother Jones is on us. They're scared to death of this.
They're petrified.
They want to talk process. They don't want to talk evidence. They don't want. None of this NBC story. I just talked to the guy who did this report. Says I didn't do it. Apple commissioned it. It's by a guy that's in Hong Kong that we can't give his name out. But NBC's lying because they don't want to address. In the NBC story, they never mention that there's a live audio of Hunter Biden bragging about the fact he's in business with the spy chief of the Chinese Communist Party.
John, thank you. Let's get to line 4, Kevin in New York City. Kevin, you're live. Kevin, you there? All right, we lost Kevin. Let's get to line 1 from New Hampshire. You're live. All right. I don't know what's going on here, guys, but Al.
We have typical Southern efficiency.
Give me some
I can
here.
say this, Al, as a native of Richmond, Virginia. We've got typical Southern efficiency here.
I don't know. Let's try line 2.
And you think up in there in New Hampshire, we taught them a pretty good lesson the last time.
Line 2, Marley in New York. Marley, you're live. All right, Marley, go ahead. Marley, you're live. Go ahead.
We got the greatest calls. This is the greatest call board I've ever seen. We're
unbelievable.
hold on. It's a show in Central Virginia. We got New York, Little Rock, Arkansas. We got multiple New York listeners. We got New Hampshire. If I can just get one across the boards. Al, baby, come on. You're killing me here.
Al, I really don't know here what you want me to do. Okay, Kiera says you need to say the line first. Okay, let's try it again. Line 4, Kevin in New York City. Kevin, you're live.
Hello?
Hey,
Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing, brother?
Hey, this isn't Kevin. I'm in New Hampshire right now.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
We'll take
Miguel
you.
in New Hampshire.
Give us a name. Give us a name and a state.
Miguel,
okay?
New Hampshire. Go ahead.
Miguel, how you doing, man?
No. Yeah, thank you, Miguel. Yep.
Hey.
Guys, I've been listening to you guys the last few days. Kind of late to the ship here, but I wanted to let you know I really appreciate your hard work with digging through the files. And I'm perplexed where we are with. I know that this is all complete propaganda with the MSM, but even yesterday morning with Maria Bartiromo, whom I really appreciate for her personality and what she can do
on MSM, but she still cut Rudy off when he started talking about the more, if you will, sensitive information, which I'm kind of sick of dancing around. You know, evil is evil, and it needs to be exposed. And there's so many of us, so many of the people who are digital warriors, if you will, for the general Flynn audience, and we're just trying so hard to keep it cool when we know how evil this stuff is, and it's just not being talked about. So I don't know if you guys want to shed a little bit more light.
No. I think, listen, we've warned about this for a long time, and I think it's very important for everybody to understand what's going to happen on November 3rd. I think this is a very good lesson for us, Miguel, about this New York Post. Remember, the New York Post is Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch's got $80 billion of publicly traded market capital, right, in different media companies. The New York Post is the oldest active paper in the nation, founded by Alexander Hamilton, one of the biggest of the founding fathers. Award-winning paper. It's a tabloid, but great journalism. They did full due diligence. And here's the thing. Not one surrogate has come forward to deny that the facts that are being laid out. We started the show today with having the spokesman for the campaign, and all they say, we're not going to get distracted. We're keeping our eyes on the prize. And here's why they have no surrogates. Because Jack Maxey is dumping another piece of evidence on them every hour on the hour, either in their voice or a wire transfer or a signed engagement letter or a signed joint venture agreement with two things. And so it's hard. This is why you don't even have Fast Eddie Rendell. You got the savviest, smartest guys in the Democratic Party won't come near this. So here's the bottom line. Bottom line, Miguel, is you're a digital warrior. You're now part of this family. We need you basically becoming a force multiplier. We got a long, tough struggle ahead and against long odds. And the long odds are, as Miles Guo said, the Chinese Communist Party's number one weapon is not its nuclear arsenal, not its biological weapons arsenal. It's its social media arsenal. The people in the whistleblower movement in the new federal state of China, the diaspora of the Chinese tell us you have a bigger firewall in America than we have in mainland China. So, Miguel, thank you very much. Keep the faith. Keep listening. Keep pushing out the thing. And make sure you go to #WarOnPandemic or go online and watch a show, etc.
Yeah, Miguel, I just want to give you a little heads up. There is so much damning evidence, and really you should start to have some courage because we're seeing people come forward from deep inside this complex structure because they know that it's falling apart. And one thing I think that's very interesting that's lost on this whole thing with the Biden's connection to China, the Chinese intelligence handlers who are all very closely associated to Hunter Biden, several of them have disappeared. One who was actually quite a good friend of the Biden family, knows all of the Biden family members. She's not been heard from for a while. So this is a serious issue. Clearly the Chinese are taking it seriously. They don't want anyone on their side to be able to talk. And perhaps that's a good heads up for anybody on our side that they ought to start talking.
Miguel in New Hampshire, you're a hero. So keep at it. We love Digital Warriors. Thanks for listening to the show.
All right. Thank you, Miguel. Next is line number 4. Let's get to Kevin from New York City. Kevin, line 4, you're live.
Actually, I'm in the suburbs. I'm north of the city.
Okay.
And, I was just on a call with my work, and I was just telling them how I get a call like once a week. Do you want to sell your house? And I was telling them how horrible New York City is. It's just run by the worst mayor ever. I used to work in the city. I don't go near it anymore. So,
is New York City, Kevin? I got a question for you. Is New York City the future of America? I mean, I love New York. I've lived there, and I'm up there on and off for the last 3 months. It's a ghost town. It is so eerie what's happened to the greatest city, not just in America. New York City is the greatest city in the world, financial capital of the world, media capital. It's a ghost town. Is that the future of America?
I hope not. I pray it isn't. I don't know what to say. I mean, I worked there for many years. I worked for a telecommunications company, and it was a great place to work and a great place to go out. I can't even go near it anymore. So.
Unbelievable. Kevin, you got a question for us?
No, I mean, I just love your show. I mean, it's so informative.
Wow.
I want to listen in. I'm watching. In fact, I have Raheem on right now. I'm watching him.
You got Raheem on mute. By the way, we're going to tease him nonstop. Raheem on mute and us on thing. Listen,
that's right.
For all the listeners out there like Kevin, we really appreciate it. Only thing we ask, everything's for free. Just push it out to your friends. we try to, I've made, how I've comported my life is to advise either some of the wealthiest people in the world, the biggest corporations in the world, chairman of boards of directors. Everything you hear in the war room is exactly the advice we would give. Where it's just like we were on the Trump campaign or at the White House or in other situations I've been. And this is what I promised the audience. My grandfather went to the third year of school. My dad's a high school graduate. They're the two guys that are the smartest guys in my life, and I do every show like I'm addressing them. So it's like I don't want to waste their time. We're not here to entertain you. We're here to give you information that enlightens you and lets you live your life in a smarter and better way. So we're really honored that you think enough of the show to call in, and just thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, and I was never in the military myself. In fact, I grew up like anti-Vietnam kind of protest. But my son, Navy.
Wow.
My dad was Navy.
Wow.
My grandfather worked on the Manhattan Project.
Wow.
And he has patents on the Nautilus. So.
Wow.
Hey, hoo-yah, brother.
Very patriotic.
I mean, thank you, brother.
Deal.
Thank you for listening to the show.
All right.
Listen, this audience, I want to tell you something about the audience. Now we're going to get another call. Before we get another caller, you guys have changed history, and here's how you change history. We've combined the deplorables. John Fredericks Radio Network, the reason we started with him, he's oracle of the deplorables. He's got a better feel for the Trump movement than anybody in the country. And we combined it with with basically Lao Beijing, the deplorables of China and the diaspora. And that is a powerful force. We know we've already changed history and so much stuff we're doing, and that we're only at the top of the first inning in this thing. So that's why always and everywhere, all of my shows are audience shows. In fact, John and I have talked. I want to get back to doing more callers, right? Because I love hearing real-time feedback from the audience.
Well, and we appreciate you doing this, Steve. We know you're busy, but this is just for our listeners, and they really want to get involved.
All the ideas I got when I walked in 16, all the ideas I got off was doing the morning drive, because it was a listener show. I'd have guests on, but there's a bop, 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 bop. Every idea I got was from the audience.
They'll tell you the truth. All right, we're going to go to line number 2. Line 2 is Marley in New York. We seem to have a New York run going.
Wow.
Marley from New York, you're live.
You can make it there. You can make it anywhere.
Hi. I'm from New York. I sure am. Actually, I'm from Amherst, Massachusetts, the most progressive liberal town in the United States of America.
But boy, is it a beautiful town up in the Berkshire. I love Amherst. But you got a lot of lefties
It is
up there.
pretty.
It's pretty.
Yes,
pretty.
it's hardcore, and I was very indoctrinated there. And I would have been a really stupid person if I hadn't had my babies at home. That changed me. But listen, I have a question. Speaking of the children,
yep.
Because I know you guys are talking a lot about this, and I really appreciate it. It's so important. And I'm kind of curious if maybe you could help us understand a little bit more how the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party's interests are served by the way children are being educated and indoctrinated right now. Like, not only away from, say, any kind of understanding or awareness of the Constitution. Like, I'm 47, and I never studied American history in Amherst High School, which is supposed to be a really good school. I never learned anything about the Constitution, nothing, zero. And so I'm thinking now it's probably way worse. And on top of it, you have this crazy culture that I know is being pushed on young people about hypersexualization and not really doing anything and just kind of like not very healthy, nothing. So I'm wondering, how can you flesh out how those two things are related? Like,
yeah, it's a brilliant question. Thank you, Marley, for the call. And here's the thing, is that in the Cultural Revolution of Mao back in the 60s, which was really connected to the Bolshevik Revolution and connected to the French Revolution, okay? These revolutionary movements, what I call these modern revolutionary movements, the first thing they do is they want to kill the four olds, old traditions, old customs, old habits, old ways of thoughts. What they want to do is take you away from the connective tissue of your history, the 13 or 14 generations back of being American, and particularly in the granularity and the detail of it. So you're absolutely correct. And here's one of the things they want to do. They want to get to this globalist movement versus the nationalist movement. The globalist movement wants to have more authoritarian control over every aspect of your life. They respect and admire the model of the Chinese Communist Party. That the Chinese Communist Party can do so many things to, they can, start to sort out the environment, or they can, through this command economy, they can make these great decisions. That you don't have to have the messiness of capital, and you don't have the messiness of democracy. And so it's absolutely central to get into the cultural Marxism. This is the whole Frankfurt School, which was to basically cut ties with your traditions, cut ties with the nuclear family. This is why BLM, was founded by cultural Marxists. They've taken a lot of this stuff down from their website because the companies that were supporting it started getting a lot of grief. So it's absolutely central. Cultural Marxism is absolutely central to the plan. And the cultural Marxists come from the Frankfurt School, and it comes from other aspects of what the CCP kind of stands on, because the CCP's traditions go back and predate even the Chinese Revolution. I told this story again today on the show, but I want to say it right here for you. When Nixon went over there and Henry Kissinger, they meet Mao right off the bat, and they have a tea, and he's sitting there with Zhou Enlai, who was the Kissinger thing, the smartest guy in China. And in this conversation, they start talking, and there's a little downtime, and Kissinger, to keep the conversation going, asked Zhou Enlai, well, you guys are revolutionaries. Tell me, what do you think about the French Revolution? Now, this is in 1972, I think it was. And Zhou Enlai says, too early to tell. Too early to tell. Remember, if you're going to see a lot of the Antifa and BLM movement here in Washington, D.C. and others as we get to election night, and as David Horowitz says, there's no negotiating. In June, when they're having all these outbreaks throughout the country, including in Richmond and other places, there's no set of demands. Trump can't sit down and negotiate because, as David Horowitz says, the purpose of the revolution is the revolution. And so in school, what ties it together, they must cut it off. And you, by the way, the reason you say Amherst High, that was a progressive school back when you went. They didn't want you talking about the Constitution. They didn't want you learning American history. They didn't want you to be proud of the founders. Now it's all America.
They wanted me to be ashamed of being an American, and they wanted me to believe that the Constitution was worthy of a paper shredder. And thank goodness, that I came to my senses. I said, it kind of began with having my babies at home. I just turned overnight into a new person, and I really started to take responsibility for my own life and my children and everything. And I have one other question for you, and this might be kind of out there, and maybe it's not what you want to cover right now, but here's a thought, okay? The original people, now I'm not trying to go into, whose land this is, nothing. All people here now are Americans, and I think that's awesome, and I think this is the greatest country. But I'm just wondering, okay, because about destroying the traditions and destroying the original culture, the people who lived on North America before the Europeans came were incredibly hardy, self-determining, self-sufficient, very, very holy people. And I'm just wondering about that. I think it's awesome that Trump, for example, put Gorsuch in the Supreme Court, someone who really respects the treaty rights and has some kind of a respect and awareness of that these people are not like these savages. They're incredible patriots and really, really strong human beings who lived on the earth without, grocery stores and everything. In fact, they still do, but I don't know. I'm just thinking about that because you said about how it's destroying the traditions, whatever that tradition is. And I don't know what you guys are into, but I was praying recently and I received a message that the problem is that these people, they worship a destroyer, not a creator. And it seems like that's the whole MO here.
Vishnu's destroyer of worlds. That's the atomic weapon. Marley, thank you very much. We got a full board. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the fact, Marley, that you've come from the unenlightened dark side now to the side of light, and it's been it's a personal journey. No, this is what's so amazing. It's a personal journey.
And Marley, what a great blessing it is to have those two children, and I have a sense that they're part of what brought you into the light, isn't it?
All right, thank you. Marley's gone.
What are you, Mr. Rogers? Are you double? Mr. Rogers?
He's the conscience of the show.
Jack Max, he's crushing me here.
We're going to be talking about education. Hitler's got some great quotes on why he wants to capture the youth.
We're going to get to line 3 in a second, and we're going to go on line 3 to John in the American Czech Republic. I just want to remind everybody that you don't want to miss our live election night show, which is going to be Tuesday night, high above the Capitol at a rooftop, just looking over the nation's capital. Will be on live at 5 p.m. to whenever.
The finest view in all of D.C.
Can we say where it is?
We'll have to describe it. We can't because they'll come
security,
in,
right? Can't say where it is.
Let's just say this.
Even though I put it on my, I put it all on my Facebook page. Let's scrub that.
I think we'll take it down.
Hello?
But anyway, you got to tune us in. We'll be on at 5. Steve Bannon's going to be there. Jack Maxey, John Fredericks Show, Chris Saxman, Mike Watson, Curtis Ellis. The whole gang is going to be there, giving you the best analysis starting at 5 on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Okay, line 3, John, an American in the Czech Republic. You're live.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Very fine.
Hi, thanks for taking my call, guys. Anyways, I had a couple topics that I thought were interesting. I was listening to the War Room earlier today, and one of the topics that came up was the organized nature of these Antifa and anarchist riot groups. And I've been following all this all summer, watching the streams of these things, watching clips of the riots, and I've really looked into it. Are you guys familiar with something called the National Lawyers Guild?
Oh, yeah, very much, yep. Been around a long time.
So it's basically like communist lawyers who want to provide support for activists and protesters. And if you see some of these live streams, a lot of times at the beginning, there'll be some organizer telling everyone, write down the number for the National Lawyers Guild on your arm, and if you get arrested, call them. And I'll say this, I've given them more than a couple of phone calls. If they want to go out in the streets and disrupt our cities, then I think it's a lot of fun, actually, to disrupt their phone lines. And so I just wanted to tell everyone, if you go and look up the National Lawyers Guild Mass Defense Program, you'll find all of the phone lines, including for Washington, D.C. So if things pop off on election night, that's my tip. Give them a call. Give them your thoughts. Let them know what you think.
What are you doing in? How does an American end up in the Czech Republic? You live in Prague?
Yeah, I live in Prague. I've been over here for a number of years. I came here for work. Kind of fell in love with the place a little bit, and I've been here for quite some time. Yeah.
What is the perception? We got to bounce here in a second. What is the perception there of Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States?
I would say it's a generally pretty good perception. It's not this idea that people have of like everyone in Europe hates Trump. That's nonsense. In 2016, the day after the election, I walked into the office and I got like an ovation from everyone, like to congratulate me for Trump winning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Let me ask you one last thing before we let you go. I just want to reiterate that. Because if you're in the United States, because I travel a lot and I can see it, and I know most of the guys are populist nationalists, but if you're in the U.S., all you hear from the New York Times, all you hear from the Washington Post, all you hear from CNN is how Trump is hated, he's embarrassed America, nobody likes him. But you're saying from the Czech Republic, from Prague, you can sit there and say that's not the case.
Yeah, and I travel for work a lot around different places in Europe. Sure, if you're in Barcelona or Berlin, you're not going to be getting many open Trump supporters. But especially in the former Soviet bloc countries, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Romania, people really do have big support for Donald Trump.
Where the new freedom. John, thank you very much. John from the Czech Republic. And you're seeing this play out in South Florida today as they're talking about polling. As Jack Maxey's always bringing up, the greatest supporters of President Trump in this country, whether it's the diaspora of the Chinese, right, or it's from Venezuela or it's from everywhere, it is folks that have lived under the communist rule or the rule of fascists that have not had freedom. So, John in Czech Republic, thank you very much.
All right, let's.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
We're going to go to line 4, where we have Jack in Pittsburgh. Give us an update on what's going on in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I assume he's a Steelers fan. Jack, I'm a Titans fan, so it's a tough game. You know what? We kicked that field goal by 3 feet. We win that game in overtime. But look, Jack, we're going to meet again, Jack. We're going to meet again in the playoffs. Titans are going to win the second game. Always win the second game. Jack, on line 4, you're live.
You got to rub it in. You have no choice. You have to be a Steelers fan in Pittsburgh. There is no choice. But I hail from the Northwest, where there was a little bit of that Cleveland thing going on as well. So, But
I'm
I just
sorry.
wanted to say, yeah, well, best of both worlds for you.
Right.
Cautiously optimistic in Pittsburgh. That's where I'm at. I hail from the Northwest, particularly Crawford County up by Erie, which is solid, deer hunting country, if you understand that. Lived in Philadelphia, but I'm cautiously optimistic by what I don't see as well as what I do see. And I'm here in downtown Pittsburgh and hipster gentrification central, and I see a glaring lack of Biden signs. I see more weathered Bernie signs that are still in the yard, catching the wind and collecting dust than I see Biden.
Besides the signs, because signs are psychological warfare. Besides the sign, what is the buzz? Are people? I know people are not galvanizing to Biden, but is it the hate Trump left and the hate Trump Democrats? Is that's what's driving this, or do you see people actually drawn to Biden?
I think you have a Yinzer firewall of working class, rank and file, former Democrats that are sick of what they see. And I think what I'm cautiously optimistic about, and the vibe that I'm getting from across the board, is my progressive friends that have all the appropriate hashtags on their Twitter. They come to me and go, what's the real story? Where can I get the details? Because the mainstream media is laying it on so thick right now that it's not even selling to them. And so I've turned them on to things such as your broadcasts are like Bannon. I don't like Bannon, but they're tuning in. It's everyday listening and viewing for my family when they have their morning coffee. So they're looking for real substantive information. And I think what I feel and what I think the vibe is and what you're going to see, because I think it all comes down to Pennsylvania. That's why I wanted to ask your guys' hot take on this.
100% Pennsylvania. 100%. Well, here's what you're seeing, the building blocks right now. Ohio and Florida, I think, are coming into place as the foundation. This is the strategy is always, you need the foundation to be able to do the final assault. That's the foundation, and I think I don't want to get cocky, but I think we're fine there. Then it's the trifecta: Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. If we can hold that, then we've got a chance for either Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania. I think it comes down to Pennsylvania, and I think if you guys hold out west, I think the Northeast Pennsylvania delivers the presidency to Trump.
Nevada?
If you step outside of the urban areas and you go up that 79 corridor up into Erie County, it's constant Trump support. There's flags, there's signs that are bigger than any banner I've ever seen.
What about the Parnell, before we let you go, Jack, what about the Parnell Connor Lamb race? Because that's going to be important about the flipping of the congressional delegation, which, remember, this could go to the House of Representatives. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is a neutral. We can't have it flip to a Democrat. So what about the heat down at Parnell, Connor Lamb?
Sure. Well, I'm in the city, so I'm in the opposite district, but you can't get out of that story either way. The vibe is nobody likes Connor Lamb. I mean, it was a whole, the progressives don't care for him. He's too, right of center for them. I think that's one to watch. The impression that I'm getting is I see a good chance for Parnell.
Fantastic, Jack in Pittsburgh. Thank you very much. By the way, thank you for listening to the show, and particularly getting
for sure. Enjoy it every morning.
Well, listen, brother, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you having progressives. Look, what we're trying to do is just put information out. We think it's information you're not going to get anyplace else, and that's we want to start taking more callers, but we're adamant about putting as much intense information out there as possible. Look, I come from a working class Democratic family, so it's not like there's a bunch of crazy right wingers in there now. But also for all those guys, when you say, hey, you got to watch Bannon show and all this stuff, I hate Bannon. Just a couple of days of my Irish charm, we'll have them, right? They'll be.
Let's go. On that note, let's go.
That's our producing partner. It's always good when your producer party can't keep a straight face.
Let's go to the charm.
I got an eye roll.
The charm will knock it. It'll knock you over. That and four fingers of bourbon. Let's get to line one. We're going to go to line one. I'm sorry. We're going to go to line one. You've been very patient on line one. John in Arkansas. John, you're live.
Hello, Mr. Bannon.
Yes, sir.
I was on the phone with you, but I got disconnected.
All right, go ahead, John.
I didn't get to hear your response. My wife was in the other room. We had the radio turned down on the internet.
Go ahead, John.
So here's look. Your question was amazing. It's very smart. I think, and I'll go back to this. I don't think it behooves us right now, with 4 days to go, to have the president directly engage in this, the putting forth this investigation of the Biden crime family syndicate. He can talk about his speech, stuff like that. You had mentioned actually tweeting out the audio or making a big deal about the audio. What I think we should do, because I think you're directionally absolutely correct, and you were concerned about the compromise. You went right to the heart of the problem, which is not corruption. It's that he's compromised himself from a national security point of view, right? And he's a national security risk to the country. What I believe should happen is that we should. What I believe should happen is that we should have him, the President of the United States, call Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, and Bill Barr, the Attorney General, to the Oval Office in front of the Resolute desk, have them both there, and have his 10 questions on his index card for Wray. Right there, the media will go nuts, right? And by the way, I'll even let the Trump guys around Trump that's saying you shouldn't fire him until Tuesday night. Fine, I got it. I'd fire him today, but let's keep to Tuesday night after the voting. But the media frenzy of the photograph, you let him stand inside the glass thing in the Oval, and you got Barr here and Wray there. It will be a meltdown, and they'll be and they'll have to address your point. They'll have to address the audio.
The devil controls them.
All right.
Okay, thank you, John. Sir. Appreciate it.
All right, we got to roll. Let's get to we're going to go to line number 2, Al, where we have Sherry in Indianapolis.
Wow.
Another rival of the Titans, the Colts, winning a few games here and again. I'm a Titans fan. I just got to tell you that, Sherry, and I don't like the Colts. I don't like anybody in my division. But,
I don't follow the Colts anymore either because I think Irsay's a douchebag, but that's beside the point.
Whoa, Sherry,
way to fire it up.
Sherry, new co-host of the War Room. Sherry, hold it. Stop. First of all, I thought we were supposed to be Hoosier Nice. Where's the Hoosier Nice?
I am Hoosier Nice, but not where Irsay's involved.
Amen, sister.
We should have kept Peyton. There's loyalty. You don't throw out the good just because you're greedy. We should have kept Peyton.
Hang on. I was thinking about this the other day. My mom was from Baltimore. The only real sports franchise besides Pittsburgh Pirates, Baltimore Colts.
They were rabid.
When Irsay moved that franchise, I didn't watch pro football, I think, for 10 years, 15 years. It was just
in the middle of the night in Vans.
They're terrible.
When he screwed over Peyton, I was done watching him. And I even followed Peyton to the Broncos until he retired. So now I'm a free agent now. I'm up for anything. But before I go any further, I have to say, Stephen K. Bannon, you are my spirit animal. I love you. I have watched you from the beginning. I absolutely adore your mind. There, I said it. I'm so glad I got the chance to say it to you. I absolutely think you are the most brilliant mind of our time. There.
I'm not swiping right here. No, I got to tell you, I thank you. I thank you very much. Now, listen. Here's I love the
Sherry. You're right.
No, Sherry. I love the use of spirit animal.
I love that.
I love this shit. Now, Sherry,
please don't describe what the spirit animal is.
No. Sherry, I just wanted a question for
kind of a lion
for the rest of the audience. What do you like about the War Room? What do you like about War Room Pandemic? What do you like about the War Room? Tell us what drives you to the content.
Because it's to the point. You're not sugarcoating it. You're not, well, there's this and there's that. No, it's your fact, to the point. Next point. And when a guest starts to ramble a little bit, and it's okay, here, what about this? That's what I need. I want the facts, because I have no social life anymore. I spend 12, 14 hours a day researching, reading, following, listening, learning. Our country, the world, is on the brink. We need to wake up. I see people that are just dead asleep, and I want to shake them. I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? Wake up. And that's what the War Room Pandemic does. It's like, here are the facts. Boom, boom, boom. Here they are. I don't mind that you cut people off, Steve. I think you're just keeping them focused. Let's get to the point. I like that.
Sherry, where are we going to go on our first date? No, Sherry, hang on a second. I want to know.
You tell me. The sky's the limit. My kids are all grown. I've been divorced for 11 years. I can travel. Let's go. Where are we going? Let's
I'm over 3 myself, but that's okay.
We should turn this into a dating site.
No, I like this.
I'm over 3 myself too, so I'm not holding that against you.
That's a combined. That's a combined over 6.
Hope springs eternal. Okay, Sherry, here we go. What is it about your friends when you say you want to shake people and they're not awake? When you your social friends or people that you used to work with or in your extended family, when you say they're not awake, what are they not awake to, and what do you want to shake them and make them look at?
The main thing, Trump. I have a 23-year-old son. I have 3 sons, 32, 23, and 21. My 21 and 32-year-old, the 21-year-old, unless you're in a skirt, he's really not paying much attention. The 32-year-old, he's now a father. He's very awake and very aware, and he'll ask me things when he wants a deeper understanding. But my 23-year-old son, it breaks my heart. He is... it's all about BLM, and I see him deteriorating before my eyes because he calls himself white trash. I'm like, wait a minute, we're not white trash. We're the middle class crust of this earth. His dad and I, we've both worked. We were small business owners. We lost our hide in 2009. But, we were just that average middle-class family. My kids played sports. We drove decent cars. We had property. We did okay. And even as I raised them, put them through high school in Indianapolis, which is die-hard a blue area. I don't even see Trump signs. I see Biden signs everywhere, and I'm right in Indianapolis. I'm about 8 miles from the circle, from downtown. I don't get it. But I'm watching my son deteriorate, and I can't make him understand. He thinks Donald Trump is the devil that's here to destroy planet Earth, and I can't make him. I don't care what kind of facts I give him. He just doesn't see it. I blame the school. He went to a huge high school here in the city, graduated, did fine, but he thinks that Donald Trump's here to destroy the earth. I don't understand it. And I've got friends, black, white, it doesn't matter. Some of them they just don't get it. They think he's a big buffoon, and I think he's awesome. And the one thing that really sold it for me was his choice in Amy Coney Barrett. That was brilliant. God, that was brilliant. What are they going to say bad about this woman?
Right.
She makes Mother Teresa look like a streetwalker. Come on, she's perfect, and that was his choice.
So
he's brilliant. I think he's got a brilliant mind.
So can we get Al to get Sherry's contact? Because what we're doing, I'm not looking for a date. No, what we're doing is we are going to get certain.
Dude, you're breaking my heart.
No. I've got to be monastic here. I'm monastic until Trump is inaugurated. Then all bets are off. No, but Sherry, what we're looking for is definitely audience members that can help us push out the content. So if we get Al to get your number, we'll go to the next call. But Sherry, listen.
Oh, absolutely.
Greatly appreciate
anything I can do to help.
I appreciate Sherry having my back saying she likes when I cut off people. Because normally I just look at the comments all day long and go, Bannon, will you shut up and let Raheem, and particularly the conscious Jack Maxey talk?
Sherry, can I ask you a real quick question? Talking about your son, because I have a son at the same age, and it is kind of crazy. They're just barraged with this nonsense from social media. And their peers, and the millennials are not exactly, it seems to me, a book-learned kind of group.
And they've got no pride in anything.
But so
I hear a song or see a video, and the pride in me swells up, and I think, God, I'm so glad I was born here.
Yeah, me too.
The millennials don't have that.
But I guess what I want to ask is, he has this issue, and he's very concerned about things. But do you think he's going to show up and vote on Tuesday?
Well, my son James has already said, he was mad that it's the first time he got to vote that Hillary and Trump were his selections. I was like, yeah, I get you, because Hillary's no prize, but whatever. So he wrote Bernie in on the ticket, and this time he's going to vote for Biden. I'm like, what is wrong with you? He is as crooked as a dog's hind leg. Oh, which is my original question. I never even asked my original question. I get sidetracked. See, I need somebody like Steve that keeps me on focus here.
You got to keep focused, Sherry.
You got to check for the first 3, Sherry. You won't be agreeing with that.
Sherry, do you have a pencil handy? We can't get to your number because we got the phone's lit up here like a Christmas tree. But if you have a pen, I'm going to give you my text. Just get a pen. Tell me when you have it so we can roll.
John Fredericks is going to be flooded with.
Just text us at, you ready? 804. 804-801-6905. 804-801-6905. You want to text a question? 804-801-6905.
Perfect.
Text me your name and number.
Yeah,
Sherry, thank you.
Force multipliers. Thanks, Sherry.
I sure will. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Sherry.
We're going to get to...
Did she say beautiful mind? I just want duly noted.
She's
Jackie,
spirit animal, beautiful mind.
Spirit animal.
She said,
Sherry, I love you. No,
between
seriously.
the both of you, she said,
I'm easy.
In marriages, you're a combined 0 for 6, right? That's batting 0, I think.
Hope over experience.
That's
right.
better. That's minor league. That's below the Mendoza line. Let's get
the Bannon line.
Let's get to line 3. Line 3 is next, where we have Aaron.
She was great.
In the People's Republic of Maryland. Aaron, you're live.
Hey, gents.
Hey, Aaron.
So, how do I follow that up? Because that was a great call.
It's a tough. That's right. Exactly. It's a tough one.
And Steve, this is the second time I've gotten to speak to you. I spoke to you a long time ago, back in the old, Breitbart News Daily days, and so
cool.
it's a pleasure and privilege to come back home, if you will. Not that I've ever left Breitbart, but I miss you on that show. But you know what? Yep. On to bigger and better things. The main crux of my call is I wanted insight and opinion on Glenn Greenwald's resignation from The Intercept over all of this and his journalistic integrity.
Before we let you go, Aaron, I want to ask you a question. Tell me, what did you think? Have you had a chance to read Greenwald's piece? Have you had a chance to read that?
I saw it late last night, and I read through his resignation to get enough of the.
So how does it strike you? How does it strike you as a person that's out there trying to seek information when a guy who's not politically aligned with us at all, when a guy like Greenwald says, "Hey, this is nonsense. This story's got to be covered by media." What do you think?
And Steve, that's just it. I love Greenwald to death for his old school journalistic integrity. Facts are the facts. Objective truth. We can see different sides of the aisle in terms of how the opinion lays or where the political ideology lays. But I thought it was phenomenal to see somebody as mainstream as him. And this is on the heels of Matt Taibbi from the Rolling Stone doing the same thing about a month and a half ago. So it's good to see somebody else in the mainstream, if you will, because I think he's pretty mainstream.
And Andrew Sullivan. Andrew Sullivan. You got 3 big ones. You got Andrew Sullivan, left the New York Magazine, Taibbi, and you got Glenn Greenwald. That's a trifecta. Those are all heavy hitters. Yeah. You may not like their politics, but these guys are serious journalists. They all punched out of high-paying gigs and say, I can't take this anymore. That this is not media. This is propaganda.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, they left. They did the quintessential American dream. They worked for somebody else for wages, right? They didn't like how things were going. They left. They formed their own company. They knew what they did well, right? So they set up the structure and contracts to make sure that they maintained the integrity of the organization and the mission that they had. But unfortunately, they've been stabbed in the back, which seems to be a common theme of most of the left these days, to take over what their vision was for solid middle of the road fact based journalism and let the reader or viewership decide the opinion aspect of it.
Aaron, thank you very much for calling. I appreciate the fact that you've followed us over here, and we hope that we deliver for you every day from the War Room on the John Fredericks. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Vox Populi. Steve Bannon will be with us with Jack Maxey. John Fredericks, 2 more hours. This segment is for you. Special edition of the John Fredericks Show. We're going to go to the top of the hour news. I want to thank everybody. We had a lot of people on hold. We got Bob in San Diego, Betty in Long Island, Marianne in Delaware, and many others hanging there. As soon as we get through top of the hour news and our sponsors, we're going to be right back. Vox Populi, Stephen K. Bannon from the War Room, Jack Maxey. Stay with us. Special edition of the John Fredericks